and welcome to another weekly reading vlog. This one is starting off July and we're going to have a very productive week. At least that is my plans for the week, is to try and be as productive as possible. I want to get my life situated. Obviously, my birthday is coming up. It is my birthday month, and so with birthdays, I always like to set my yearly goals. Instead of setting my goals for like the new year, I like to set them for my birthday, because it's like halfway through the year and you know, my year starts on my birthday. At least that's how I like to think about it. But yes, I have a couple of plans obviously for the month, but also for this week in general. Hopefully this vlog won't be too chaotic, but I do have some plans. Definitely not as fun of plans as last week with the whole vacation, but more productive vibes. That's what I'm going for. But first off, I have to say, I'm going to actually try and stick to a book buying ban. Last week it really hurt my wallet, my TBR, everything. So I am actually going to stick to the book buying ban this month. Obviously, my birthday, I'm still going to acquire some books. As far as my only plan for this week, obviously I work this week, but I also am going tomorrow to get my hair done, which it desperately needs. But yeah, that'll be fun, and that's really the only thing that I have planned for this week. So I'm feeling like I can get a lot done. I just need to get my life in order, sort of sort through everything. I also like to make goals. Obviously, like I was saying, I like to make goals for my birthday and everything of the next year. So I do want to go through that. And I like reading what I wrote for last year as well. So those are some things that I want to do, just sort of vibe for this month and actually get things done and feel like a new me. So yes, I will update you when something happens, but I'm excited for this month, obviously my birthday. But as far as audiobooks go, I always like to mention I do get audiobooks for free from LeGrand. I'm part of their influencer program, so I do get a couple arcs from them at the beginning of every month. I only got one this month, so I am very proud of myself. That only adds one book to my audiobook TBR. So I say that is very good self-control, and that is the only book that I am going to acquire by my own volition. Obviously, birthday presents, different situation, but yes. Other than that, I also have plans for this month to actually go and try a chapter of all of my audiobooks. And so that ebooks video that I did, where I tried a chapter of every single ebook that I had and decided whether I want to continue them or DNF them, I'm going to be doing the same for my audiobooks. So that is going to be a very long project, but I'm very excited because audiobooks is the category that I have the most of on my TBR. My physical books is over 100, but my audiobooks are over 110. So that is my main priority, to get down as low as possible. Obviously, I will be reading some physical books. I do have plans to actually finish some books, because that is most important for getting books off of my TBR. But I do just want to mention that I will be working on that challenge for all of July, so that will be sprinkled into these weekly vlogs. So the audiobook that I got was Crash Test. This is a gay F1 romance, so I'm super excited for it, but that means I'm starting this week out with 259 books on my TBR. As far as what I'm currently reading, I'm actually only reading one thing at the moment, and that is the audiobook for Lights Out. So that is one I will be continuing, spoiler alert, but that is one that my coworker recommended me, and so I do want to read it to talk to her about it. But I'm also going to be buddy reading it with my nail tech, because at my appointment we were talking about it and we decided to go ahead and buddy read it. So I will be reading that one, and I feel like it's going to be super fun. I have read the first 2 chapters and it's a silly little time, and so I think it's just going to be such a fun listen. But either way, I have gone through a couple of other audiobooks so far this morning, so let's talk about them. I ended up trying a chapter of 3 audiobooks this morning, and I DNF'd all 3. So these are some of the long ones that I had on my TBR. I figured I should start out with the longest ones and work my way down to the shortest. That probably won't be how I do it, but that's how I did it today. So the first one I DNF'd is A Crown of Ivy and Glass, and this one I just wasn't vibing with the narrator. I just didn't like how they were narrating the book, and so I DNF'd it, which is probably going to happen with a lot of audiobooks just because I'm very picky with my audiobook narration, so yeah. I also DNF'd The Ocean and the Stars. This is one that I was interested in for whatever reason, but the first chapter was super boring, super long, and I just didn't care, so I DNF'd it. And then Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. This is like a very big book. I feel like people think of it as a classic. Maybe it is, I don't actually know. But I feel like the audiobook of this was like over 30 hours. Either way, I listened to the first chapter and I was not a fan of the narrator, and I also thought the story was boring, so I DNF'd it. So those 3 are off of my TBR, so honestly, for the first day this week, I am making great progress on my TBR, but yeah, those were the 3 longest books that I had, like audiobook length wise. So honestly, I'm kind of glad that they're off my TBR because they're like kind of intimidating, and so I'm glad that they're finally gone and I don't have to worry about them anymore. So it has been a couple of days, but I just wanted to pop in with a very quick update. First, I did get my hair done. I just tucked up my roots and did a little trim, so nothing drastic. But I had a little bit of a big update, and that is that I finished listening to all of the first chapters of my 114 audiobooks, and after all of the ones I decided not to continue with, which I'll get into more later and definitely in that like dedicated video, but I am down to 48, so I got a whole lot off of my TBR, and because of that my TBR is now actually under 200 like in total of all the formats. So it is now at 192 books, so that feels amazing to have gotten so many off my TBR. So yeah, I'm very happy with that progress, and I just wanted to give you guys that quick little update. I feel like this was a very short vlog, but I feel very accomplished this week. Like I did a lot. So obviously I had talked about how I did read all the first chapters of all of the audiobooks that I have. That felt very nice, getting so many off of my TBR. But yes, that will be a dedicated video that will come out sometime. I just need to actually get around to filming it because it's definitely going to be very long, reading out the names of all 114 books. But either way, let's talk about what I did manage to read this week. So the first book that I finished was Financial Feminist, and this is just a book that I decided to read because I am still on my journey of learning about finances. And one of my goals, spoiler for a video that I'm going to be doing about my goals for my 22nd birthday, but one of them is going to be to actually get better with my finances, learn about investing. But yeah, I ended up reading this book, and I'm not really gonna read it because it's more just something to help me learn. So yeah, but I did finish it. I also ended up finishing Filterworld, and this one was a big disappointment. So I had this one on my July TBR because obviously my birthday month, I wanted books that I was predicting to be 5 stars. And honestly, I figured that out of the nonfiction books that I have been wanting to really read right now, this one I felt had the highest chance of being a 5-star just because it's something I feel like is very timely with how much algorithms are changing and everything. And I was very interested to learn about how this author tackled the subject of obviously algorithms flattening culture, but I ended up giving this book 2 stars. This just really wasn't my thing, and mainly it was the writing style. So the author of this book actually writes for, I want to say it's the New York Times. Let me fact check that real quick. The New Yorker. He writes for the New Yorker, and I feel like that sort of style of writing that comes with like journalism and writing for like these big companies is just not a style that I'm a big fan of, and you get so much of that in this book. Also a lot of like anecdotes from the author's life, his travels, things he's witnessed in his own life, which I feel like can be really good, but for a book that I was expecting to be more fact heavy, it's mainly just observations. And I also think there were way too many like quotes and interviews with other people that I just really wasn't interested in. And yeah, I feel like starting off a book talking about algorithms and immediately being like, nobody really knows how algorithms work, all these companies keep it a big secret, so nobody really knows, is not the best way to start off a book talking about algorithms, but that's obviously how it went, with him being like, who knows, this is just how it is. Yeah, so I wouldn't really say I got too much out of this. It was a very big disappointment, but I did finish it, so it is another book off of my physical TBR. And then, like I had mentioned, I really want to learn more about investing going into my 22nd birthday. So I read 2 more books about investing. So I read Invest Like a Girl and Girls That Invest, 2 very similar titles, but I wanted more of a women's perspective, I guess, on investing because I'm really intimidated by it, and it's very much like a whole finance bro type situation. But yes, I do think these books were very helpful and did like a really good job explaining everything. And so yeah, I do think that these are really good books to read if you're interested in investing. But yeah, obviously these 3 finance books that I have read, I do not own them. I did get them from my library, but yeah, I did finish them this week. I also am still listening to the audiobook of Lights Out. I only managed to get 40% into this one. Obviously this week was very heavily focused on reading the first chapter of all of my audiobooks, so I wasn't dedicating too much time to actually only listening to this one, but I do think it is still really fun and enjoyable. Definitely not something I'm taking too seriously, which I feel like is how I personally need to read dark romance. Like, it's just a fun, silly little goofy time, but I am enjoying it. And then I did start 2 more books. So I have 9 Month Contract and then 9 Lives, which I just realized these both have the number 9 in the title, which is a weird coincidence, but this one is a romance and this one is a mystery thriller. So this one I am actually going to be reading physically, but 9 Lives, I decided to get the ebook of it from my library because I needed an ebook to read while I'm at my job, and like whenever there's nothing to do, I like to read an ebook. So I figured I might as well get a book off of my physical TBR via ebook, just because I wasn't in the mood for any of my own ebooks that I actually own that I need to get off my TBR. Either way, these are the 2 books that I am also in the middle of. But all in all, after everything this week, my TBR is down to 191 books, which feels so amazing to be under the 200 book mark. I'm definitely very proud of myself for how much progress I have made, because again, if you are new here, I started 2025 off with over 340 books on my TBR, so to have it down to 191 is such amazing progress. But yes, next week I have a few plans. Obviously, it is my birthday week, so I think like 3 days next week is purely like dedicated to my birthday. So I know one of the days is going to be the time I spend with my boyfriend, just because of how our work schedules work out and everything. The day of my birthday, it's pretty much just gonna be me and my mom, and then like my actual birthday party is going to be the day after my birthday, so it's gonna be like a 3 whole a day event, which I love. But yes, So I'm not sure how much vloggy type things are gonna happen, how much reading is gonna get done next week, but I am very excited. So thank you guys so much for making it to the end of this vlog. Definitely don't forget to subscribe if you want to keep up with the weekly vlogs, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!